Dear David, you lived a very conventional life until you decided to leave and carve your own path.
It's not easy to do something different because of the 30 plus years of societal conditioning that painted success as a singular, conventional path. Go to school, find a stable job, get married, have kids, buy a house all by the age of 30, and then happily ever after. But no one ever told me, what if I don't want to follow the conventional path? It's not that I don't want those things, I do, but on my own terms. We're all different. Different histories, different values, and different definitions of success. When I was young, I studied hard and got into a good college in America. And then I worked in finance for a big Hollywood studio. On the outside, this was success, but something felt off. So of course, like any 20-something millennial stuck in their quarter-life crisis would dream of, I quit my job in Hollywood and bought a one-way ticket to Africa. I left success. I left stability. I left the conventional path. That year changed my life. I ended up volunteering and traveling across Africa and Asia for a year. I read dozens of books from The Alchemist to Man's Search for Meaning, hoping they would give me the answers to life. I didn't find the meaning of life, but I did become more self-aware. Who I am, my values, and what I want out of this one wild and precious life. In India, I shared a tuk-tuk with an older man and his wife. He asked me, "Are you married?" I told him, "Not yet." At the time, he was looking for a wife for his son because in their culture, marriages are arranged. He told me, "That sounds like so much work, dating." He did have a point. We also talked about life and the differences between the Western philosophy of pursuing individual success versus the Eastern way of following cultural norms. Sometimes I think about that. Not that I'd want an arranged marriage, but wouldn't it be easier if I just followed a script? And then I think of one of my best friends. Let's call him A. A was the first person who challenged me to think about purpose and the important things in life. He was a teacher, philosopher, and got me into self-awareness. He got me questioning the meaning of my life. He saw that I was chasing money and status. I was following the script. But he also saw that I was very unhappy, but I couldn't see it. Or rather, I refused to see it. A died at the age of 31. I think of A often and his wisdom. He was wise beyond his years. He got me to question the scripts we follow in life, and he inspired me to start writing my own script. But it's not easy. When I returned to San Francisco after my travels, I was in for a shock. I remember taking the bus one Monday morning. Everyone was on their phones, going to work, and no one seemed happy. But very quickly, I found myself as a regular on that Monday morning bus. I found a job in finance because I was scared. But a few months later, I realized I made a mistake. And I left. I left finance, this time forever. I wanted to do something more meaningful because we will spend 1/3 of our lives at work. And then I questioned myself, is it foolish for me to try to find meaning out of work? My mom could never understand. You work to get a paycheck. But what I've learned about trying to carve my own path is your values may not be the same as those of your parents or those of society, and you may have to disappoint others. It was also during this time when I read the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. And the top regret of the dying was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself. not the life others expected of me. I was always a follower, a really good follower. And up until that point, I had lived a life that others expected of me. And then I heard A's voice. I wanted to be more courageous. I wanted to live a life that was true to me. So I spent the next few years experimenting. I tried different jobs, different industries, and while the jobs didn't work out, I realized what I didn't want. But what I did want was, I've always wanted to live in Europe. It was always a dream of mine since studying abroad in Spain back in college. And somehow the stars aligned. I found a master's program in the Netherlands, and afterwards, I found a job in Amsterdam. I ended up changing and finding a career that I love. And I ended up loving the Dutch and European way of life. I finally felt like I was living. It felt true, courageous, authentic. I ended up living there for 7 years before coming back to America. So how are things going? Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. Well, I hope it gets easier, because trying to live an intentional life is hard. I have no idea how my life would have turned out had I not made those choices. But so far, it's been true, courageous, authentic. Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. It's also hard not to compare. If I look around me, most of my friends are married with kids. They seem settled down. But I also realize we each have our own timelines. And what you see on the outside isn't always what it's like on the inside. But you know, the crazy thing is, you can never fully get rid of that comparison game. Maybe if and when I get to 80. And that's why I'm writing to you, David, as your 80-year-old self. Do you really want to live a conventional life? You keep calling this path you're on an unconventional path, but it's only unconventional if you follow someone else's script. Now, I'm not saying you should go off the rails, and I know you won't, but I hope you have the courage to continue running your own race and staying true to yourself, because that race will end one day, especially when you get to my age. Run your own race. During the last conversation that I had with A, we were talking about big life decisions. And the last message he sent me, I don't know, man. It really is about what's most important to you. If that's what you want to go for it.